A devlog is defined by a game developer making a video that documents their entire game development process. So across many episodes, they'll show you all the art that they made, they'll show you features they added, bosses they did, anything that they programmed. It's kind of just like a really cool PR thing that you can do. It gets people interested, it keeps you motivated, it's just like this cool thing. So I told myself 3 years ago when I started working on a game that I would make 5 devlogs, and I wouldn't post them anywhere. I would edit them, record them, and if I could make those 5 devlogs without getting any external feedback, and I could update my game enough to where I had enough content for 5 devlogs, then that means I deserve to make a YouTube channel, put them on there, have people see it, and I know that I'm serious about it. So as I was going through my PC one day, I found the first of these 5 devlogs on my computer, and immediately I was like, I have to make a video about this. But first I want to walk you through the game that I was making. So the idea is that it's a roguelite game based around time. You spawn into the world and there's like a 10 or 20 minute timer at the top. And that time ticks down the entirety that you play. And when you take damage from enemies, it just takes seconds off. You don't have a health bar, you just have the clock. You can wear armor that slows the speed of the clock. You can take potions that give you extra time. Maybe time passes 2 times as fast in certain areas. But the idea is that as you die repeatedly, when the timer runs out, inevitably, you slowly get better and better at exploring the world more. You know where to go. And by that point, you want to try and maximize the time so that you're able to get to the end, probably kill some boss to do that, and beat the game. And I still think that's a really cool idea. I'm gonna be honest, like, you're not allowed to take that idea, okay? I'm gonna make a whole video soon about game ideas I've had that you can take, so let me have this one. This is a little unfortunate because I remember saying multiple times on stream that I would do anything but become a reaction YouTuber, but that's pretty much what's happening right now. All right, here it is. Game Dev 1 pixel art something, and there's an Among Us on the cover. Okay, here we go. I don't think this is how clocks are supposed to work. My name's Juniper, and I'm making a roguelike game. Oh my gosh, 0 energy off the rip. Sorry, let me go back. My name's Juniper, and I'm making a roguelike game based around time. The health bar of your character is replaced by a timer, and your goal is to find ways to increase that time to be able to finish the game. I like the really ominous background stock footage. Damage from enemies turns into seconds off your clock, and you get the idea. I've taken a lot of inspiration from games like Hades and Slay the Spire, which offer seemingly repetitive gameplay that's actually just really well made and replayable. Okay, minus 10 points for sounding like I have 0 energy whatsoever, but overall the editing is a lot better than I thought it would be. Also, Slay the Spire is a fantastic game that I still to this day play, and I'm still not beaten, so... This is a game that I want people to fail at, and that same feeling I get from becoming more and more efficient every run in Slay the Spire is the same feeling I want to create in my own game. In the process of making it, however, I realized how difficult game design was. I'd taken a game design class at my high school before, but it didn't— Oh my gosh, these are old projects that I made in my game development class, which was like junior year of high school. This was like a turn-based combat sort of thing where you could press a button to choose what to do and then the snake would take away one of your buttons every turn. Oh my gosh. This was made in Scratch, by the way. But I was so proud of this because we had to use Scratch and I made this in Scratch, okay? That's why I was happy with this. And then this was just a really easy maze runner thing, but I gotta say, I went hard with the pixel art. I'd taken a game design class at my high school before, but it didn't really compare to the level of complexity that I wanted to do this time around. What I did get started on though was the pixel art, which I already had quite a bit of experience on. How many hours do I have on Ace right now? It's probably at least 100 more, but I definitely did more pixel art back then. The reason I take pixel art so seriously is because I used to actually do it professionally. I took commissions and I'd make pixel art for games. I now have 268.9 hours, so it's a little bit more. I felt pretty confident in my abilities, but looking back on some of the very first sprites that I made for the game, I'm glad that we crossed those out and we agreed that those were bad. It's clear that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing the first time. I dropped an F-bomb? I'm actually astonished that I did that. First off, this pixel art is still kind of cute, but second off, that's weird. Ended up with this style, which I think is the most easy to replicate, easiest to shade, which I know sounds lazy, but when I'm gonna be making a lot of this all by myself, that sort of stuff is key. That's really cool UI design though, that I actually still use in some projects. You can kind of see the dialogue borders. And then right here, these were the inventory options, and then this is where the time would go. This was, I remember I was actually really proud of this character because I pretty much started with this little guy that I made myself, and then I had to blow him up to a bigger size, which I'd never done before. Anything I can do to save time is gonna be worth it. Plus, the character's cute, and I like him. Soon enough, it was time to actually start putting together this video game. Once a really basic movement system was set up, I went ahead and added in the UI for the world's timer, as well as a basic toolbar system. Now that it was programmed in that the player would die, or I don't know, something bad would happen once the clock ran out, it was time to determine what the player should actually be doing for the majority of the gameplay outside of the impending doom aspect. That's so funny, because when you first start making videos on YouTube, one of the first things you realize is that if you don't have either you talking, like footage of you talking, or you have some gameplay, it's really hard to think of what to show on the screen. And so I was like, I'll just draw some words in Sketchpad. I thought about Stardew Valley and how you can fish, mine, dig. It does a great job by ensuring the player has a lot of different options. It does a great job at ensuring that the player has a lot of different options, but also steering them in the right direction at the same time. So I decided that the best way to do this would be to divide the world into 4
More
main
Sketchpad.
sections. I don't know what the theme of the regions will be, but I want them to each be unique in their resources so that the player can get a unique gameplay experience in each one. Sites like Pinterest and Instagram have proven to be really good resources for world building like this.
Yeah, that's one of the things that when I'm making videos now about game development, I always want to mention Pinterest. I guess now you could use AI to generate like the vision for your world, but I feel like Pinterest is just so good. There's so much art out there. When it comes to stylizing a world, stylizing characters, it's all so good.
Since I have a hard time perfectly visualizing the way I want an area to look, right now I'm thinking of an overgrown village or castle to really demonstrate how time has influenced the world. The idea behind this sort of design is called environmental storytelling, and Game Maker's Toolkit has a great video on how games can utilize this to tell a story. It references BioShock and how you can learn so much by just exploring the world. Personally though, I think of games like One Shot, where it's clear from the cabin you spawn in that the world is abandoned and dying. The empty factories and remaining robots inexplicitly tell you this story.
Okay, the script that I had here wasn't bad, but I just was saying it in such a monotonous tone. No enthusiasm, no zeal, just this is a roguelike game built around time.
I actually made a video about this. It's called
The empty factories and remaining robots inexplicitly tell you this story. But again, the nitpicky, really fancy parts of this game are things that I wanted to work on later, and so I focused more on implementing things I knew that I could do. And that included making a dialogue system, which I definitely underestimated the difficulty of. Not only did I have issues with it just completely drawing on the wrong side of the screen, but even when it did work, I kind of realized that it was in a weird spot and it didn't cover the toolbar, and I don't know, it's just a lot of stuff I didn't think about.
That's so true though, that's so real. When you think of a dialogue system for a game, if you've never made a game before, you're not just making a box, putting text in the box, and you're good. No. You have to first make it to where the dialogue box prints in the right side of the screen. That's without the text, just it goes in the right spot. The pixels scale accordingly. You have to make sure that the text itself not only appears in the right spot, but stays inside the dialogue box. It has some sort of type effect, which is all programmed. It stays on the screen. You can't move when the dialogue box is open. You can't do other actions. You play a sound at the right time when it's typing. You stop and pause at the periods and commas. There's so much behind the scenes that you just don't think about until you do it. So that part of the video is still very real.
What's important though is that by the end of this, I had a pretty decent skeleton of a game. Yeah, it was okay. It worked. We could move into things, we could hit things, we could store things, we could talk to things, and you know, the entire whole game mechanic of the clock ticking down, that existed. So I was pretty happy with the progress I made this week.
Man, that's another thing. You ever make a devlog, you realize that you could spend a whole week, you could spend a whole month making stuff for your game, and then realize that footage-wise, you got like maybe 2 features to show.
What I will mention though is that there's kind of been a new Valorant episode. Anyway. Wow! A lot of my time has unfortunately been going to that, but I do want to make it clear.
Fun fact, I'm actually diamond in Valorant now, and I think when I made this video, I think that was gold, so you know, that's good, I made some progress.
I do want to make it clear though that I really am going to be focusing on this game a lot, as well as updating this devlog, and just overall doing what makes me happy. Which
No you won't, girl, no you won't.
I'll get back to programming, and maybe you can even hit that subscribe button. God, I hate saying that, I've never said that before in my life, and I never thought I ever would.
Oh boy, oh man, okay. You know, that wasn't as horrible as I thought it would be. I didn't cringe as much as I expected to. It's interesting though, because as I was watching that video, this is something for all developers out there. I think if you're making a devlog, it's good to put some personality in there. I think I tried to, I just didn't really like commit to it. Because you don't always have to be talking about like, this is what I added, this is what I did. You know, you can talk about like, oh, this is where I got inspiration. This is how I spent my time elsewhere. Put in some humor, I guess. And obviously my humor It's pretty bad, but you know, the idea was there. Young Juniper in that video she had the right idea. She had the right idea. There were other videos in that folder that I have to explore. One of them was like a tutorial for platforming of like the hidden physics that you'll forget to make in your platforming game. I gotta say though, it's really cool to see like all the progress that I did make, even if it wasn't that much. I still learned so much from this, and that's one of the biggest things in game development. A lot of people go into it with one big idea, kind of like this one, and they tell themselves like, I'm just gonna make this start to finish, you know, maybe no experience, and that's still possible. You can still do that. But realistically, what probably happens, and what always happened to me with my early projects, is that you would end up just not finishing it because it's a big project. You don't know how to have that discipline to do it yet. It's so much to take on at once, but you still learn something from it. All those failed attempts, you still get something from. You're slightly better at pixel art, you're better at programming, you're more familiar with the game engine. But overall, it's a win, because then when you get further down the road and you get another good idea, you can first off evaluate whether it's gonna work or not, but you know how to apply your skills more, and you can make it to where you actually stick through with it. So there's your philosophy for me today. Nothing is a failure. That's all I got though. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!